If it looks nice, I go with it. I don't think it's a bad plan. Today is going to be kind of like MTV's old show called Cribs, where they went and they toured famous people's homes and looked in their refrigerator and marveled at their opulence. We're going to do that today with my crochet cart. It's going to be all of that without the fame, fortune, and refrigerators. You are going to get to see how I organize my craft cart that I keep beside me when I'm working on the couch downstairs, which is where I do most of my crochet. Now this cart we call my command post. It has everything I need. Not everything I want, just everything I need. And it is a staple of our living room. And where I sit on our couch, that is my place. No one is allowed to sit there because of the command post. The children know this, the dogs know this, the husband knows this. That's my spot. That is my dance space, and they shall not enter my dance space. So let's start looking at all of my wonderfulness. First, the top tier of my cart has my main essentials. I have tried to organize it, and I guess it's pretty good. It is the most easily accessible from the couch. I don't have to lean up too far. I don't want to strain myself because I need to conserve what I have to crochet. Correct? Correct. So first, this used to be a pencil caddy for my kids, and I stole it because they don't need all that. It's mine. And in here I have my trusty fingernail file. If you are crocheting and if you have nails, you need this. I always am needing a fingernail file because my nails chip all the time and there's no strength left in my nails. So I'm having to file them a lot. I always keep a fingernail file. I also bought these to try to help me when I'm putting together my amigurumi, and I want to say I like them. I really do. You'll see that this one is covered in green tape, and that's green florist tape. And the reason I did that is because my problem with these, though they are adorable and they are precious, and it really is a great idea, but they are so slick. They don't stay in place really well. Even with this little knob at the end, my children keep stealing or losing, and it just doesn't hold my stuff as well as I had hoped they would. Admittedly, a lot of the amigurumi I make are the smaller, more detailed amigurumi, and these are really more helpful when you're making large pieces. I haven't made a whole lot of large pieces to use these on recently. Since I've gotten them, they're not my favorite. But I keep them close by in case I need them. Here in a minute, I'll show you what I actually use that is my favorite. Next, I have darning needles. Now these, as you can see, they're not easy to get, and it's because I don't really use these very much. These are the curved needles, and I know a lot of people love these that have the little bend in them. I don't. They twist, and I can't ever grab what I'm meaning to grab or stick it where I'm meaning to stick it or to come out where I need it to come out. I thought I would love them and I hoped I would love them. I don't love them. I like regular straight needles. My favorites are the really sharp pointed ones or the dull needles, not these. I think if I did more blankets or probably apparel, I would use these more, but I don't do that. I like amigurumi the most. Next are all of my tools. I have wire cutters because I do some floral pieces and I need to cut the wires. And this pair is actually my favorite. These needle nose pliers, I've already bent them because I have such a strong grip, or I was using them incorrectly. But I use this to pull the needles out of my pieces when my hands are getting too tired, or if I'm working with a really small piece and my needles are just too thick to pull through the piece, I use my needle nose pliers. Because I have bent these, they don't work quite as well when they're bent because they don't grip the same. I don't know if you can see that, but they don't come together anymore. I also have a smaller pair, but I honestly didn't know these were in here because they're so small. Now I do. Next, one of my most favorite things is my Fabri Tac. This is a quick dry glue, and I use it on a lot of things. It's great for your eyes. If you're worried if they're gonna come through or if they're gonna come apart, I use some of this on there to ensure that hopefully they stay in, if that's a concern. For certain pieces, I also will sometimes use it if I'm working on a piece that needs a hat and I'm worried that I'm not getting it sewn on all the way, or if I want it sewn on a certain way and it's just hard to make that happen, I use my Fabri Tac Glue. And it's wonderful, and because it's a fabric glue, it doesn't dry really hard like hot glue does. Next is lotion. My hands are dry a lot, so I have this lotion, and then I have this stuff. And I know a lot of people really hate this because it's more like Vaseline. I used this when my babies were little for diaper rash, but it's really good for dry skin. It's my favorite. I also have chapstick because, you know, everybody's lips are dry. Moisturization is really important in this whole process. Then I have a tape measure for amigurumi. I just have it. I think I got this in the the Crochet Society Advent calendar last year. That's where this came from. The BC, Bella Coco. So I keep this here as a just in case. You always have to be prepared, just like a Boy Scout. Next is another glue, is E6000. I honestly haven't used this yet, but I had seen a lot of people like to use this with their safety eyes as an added security measure. I haven't used it yet, but I've heard good things, so I have it here for when I run out of this. Then, this is one of my most favorite and prized possessions. This is a safety eye jig, and you use this to help put the backs onto your eyes. There are several different varieties of safety eye jigs. There's some that I've seen one that's like a wooden ball and it has a pointed end and you put it over the stem of the eye and it helps push the back on. That's a nice one, but this is the one I have and it's by Rustic Pixels. I got this off of Etsy. The link to this is in my description box below. She has various sizes and I think she has some that are keychains, but this is invaluable, especially if you make really large pieces that have those really huge eyes with the huge backs that are so hard to put on. This is wonderful for that. Then my other very important piece is my iPad. And I have this particular cover. This actually will sit up just like this. It has a little stand built into it. And I put this on the arm of my couch when I'm crocheting and I can just read my patterns off of here. If I don't want to bring my pattern book with me, I will open my Noteswriter app on my iPad, and I'm sorry, I only know this for Apple. I don't know about this for any Android phones or products. And in there is a function that says scan document. And it will scan the document and it'll save it in your device. And then I can view it and I can actually use my pencil and mark where I am in my pattern. I can take notes. Whatever I need to do, I can do with my pencil and the Noteswriter app on here. There are several different apps that some people use for note taking. That's where I upload all my Etsy patterns and I work out of that app and I can make all the notes and everything I need, and they're all right here instead of my entire library that I have behind me. So I highly recommend, if you do not do digital, that you consider digital. It is very nice. Moving on, we are still on the top shelf. On the outside of my cart, I have all these pencils. I have some of my more common hooks that I use. For the majority of my pieces, I use my furls hooks. So I have one here, I have one over here, I have one here. I have a lot of furls scattered places. These are my We Crochet hooks that I really like also, that I got last year. Besides my hooks being in here, my most used thing that I have in there are these, and they are bamboo sticks. And this is what I use to put my pieces together on my amigurumi. I use the ones with the point to stab the arms or legs or head, whatever I'm needing to use. And because these are kind of a rough wood, they hold the pieces on there really well. Then after I am finished stabbing my pieces and holding them together, I can use the end because I've broken these in half or thirds. That's kind of rough, and I can push my threads back in, my extra yarn, my tails. I also use this to add my stuffing, to stuff down into the smaller pieces. These are just my favorite things. And if you buy a package of them, they're not very expensive and they will last you forever. So I have small versions. I have longer ones also that I use for bigger pieces. I love these, and because you can break them, use those rougher ends, they just do so many little things that you wouldn't think you would need this for. And this is what I use in place of these guys. This is just too slick for me, and that's why I put the forest tape on there, was hoping that that would make it a little rougher to stay in pieces versus sliding and moving around. That's why I like the bamboo barbecue skewers. Now also on my top shelf, another very important piece, especially if you're perimenopausal, menopausal, is a hair clip. For those moments that you're hot and you're having a hot flash and you need a clip, I keep it right here, easy access. My other most used thing is my magnetic needle pin holder. This one I love simply because it is magnetic, so I can just stick my pins on here. It also has a little drawer down here where you can have more if you need them. I keep all of these, and I used to have a lot more, but my son does things with these. I don't know what he does with them, but children, they do things. Is it really a crochet cart if you don't have a crochet bowl? I personally prefer ceramic bowls to wood bowls. I've had a wooden one and it's beautiful. The craftsmanship is amazing and they're gorgeous. My problem with wooden bowls is they are very light typically, and I am a fierce yarn puller. The bowl was always moving and shifting on me. With a porcelain bowl, it's much more weighted, and I don't have the trouble with my yarn pulling and my bowl moving, it affecting my tension, because that's what happens when that bowl is moving. It affects how I have my tension and it drives me crazy. This one says, I crochet so I don't choke people, save a life, send yarn. And it's perfect. It's also a good warning to people. The other thing I keep on my cart, and I have a sewing machine and I can kind of sew. I don't enjoy it a whole lot because there's just so many pieces. There's so many things you've got to do to get going on that, and I don't like to do that. On Etsy, which is one of my favorite places, and I love supporting small business, I bought this little container. It's just super easy. I could have totally made this, but I didn't want to. That's the key. I didn't want to make this. And I bought this from a seamstress or a sewist. I bought it from a person who sews. I love this. I put my stitch markers in here. I also keep my row counter, which is my favorite thing. I know there are apps that you can use as row counter, but I'd have to open up my phone or keep my phone on, and then the battery goes down and going back and forth. This way, I can just click my rows. I can lock it if I need to, start over a new row easily. I just love it, and it makes that little sound. And that little sound is really cool until your children have it and they do this. And they don't stop. It's really cool until that happens. If you don't have children, don't worry. But I highly suggest getting one of these if you don't already have something like it. I know there's some digital ones. This is a Clover stitch counter, and I will put a link to it in my description down below. I have all my stitch markers in here, and I personally like the open ring stitch markers because they just slide in and out of my pieces easier for me. I do have some of the locking stitch markers. I don't always like these because sometimes these ends they have pieces of plastic and they catch my yarn and split it, so they're not always my favorite. The other thing in my little basket are my earbuds, because I am down in my living room, and when my husband is home, he enjoys sports and I don't enjoy sports. I try. I don't like sports. And I am sorry, I don't. I was in band in high school and I went to every football game and I still know nothing. I went to 40 football games and know nothing about the sport. And I'm not sorry, and I don't care to learn. I know who people are. I enjoy documentaries about the people who play, but I hate the sport. And ones with balls and outside. I don't like them. I'm sorry. I don't. While he is doing that, I can put on a murder podcast. Murder calms me. I work really well to murder, and I know I'm not the only person that feels this way because I've seen other people talk about this, that those are just the best times. You just curl up with a blanket and murder. In my case, I curl up with murder, a blanket, and crochet, and it's just the trifecta. And wine. The quadfecta. I also keep my scissors. I have several pairs of scissors. I bought a pack of these. There were 3 in the pack, and I love these. The last thing on my top row is this. These are some stitch markers that I got in my Crochet Society Advent box last year, and they were so cute, and I love them, and I never use them because you don't really use these as much in crochet, this type. These are more of a knitting sort of thing, but I just think they're so pretty. These would probably be really nice as progress keepers. They're all holiday markers, but they're so cute, and they came with this little thing to hang them on, a little heart chain organizer that I love, and so I just leave that on here for decoration. It's like I've bedazzled my cart with that. It sparkles now. Now we're moving down to the second shelf. I keep all of my yarn scraps, and I keep it in a trash can. This guy, he's cute though. I have no idea where I got this. It's just a tiny little trash can. I actually just leave it open all the time, and then I put my yarn scraps in here. They're in a gallon bag, and I just use them up as stuffing. I can grab them easily in here, but if you don't save your yarn scraps, save your yarn scraps. They are useful, especially in amigurumi. Use them as your stuffing. They're wonderful for that. Now, the lady who I bought this little bowl from, I also purchased this from, and it's kind of like a quilted, you can feel cardboard inside. It's cloth, but then there's cardboard in there that she has sewn around. And when I'm making my amigurumi pieces, instead of having pieces just strewn everywhere, those still pieces get strewn everywhere, I put them all in this little basket. I tried to keep my area neat. It doesn't always work that way. So I have all the little pieces. Right now I am working on an Impkin from the new Crochet Impkins book, and this is the one I've gotten done, and I'm working on another one, and it's another little hat. So cute. Keep all those pieces together until I'm ready to sew them up. I know a lot of people, this is like a saving grace, is the neck light. And yes, if you don't have one of these, you need to get one of these. The light in them lasts forever after you charge it. This is wonderful, especially say the husband is watching sports. You don't want to watch sports and it's getting dark and it's late and you want to just listen to murder and crochet. Instead of being in the dark, you can use your neck light. It's wonderful. If you don't have one, I do suggest getting one. I'll put a link down below. They're not very expensive. They have a port here in the back. You charge it with a USB, and the charge really lasts a very long time. There's several settings of lights in here. It's great. I also keep cardboard, and you might be saying, cardboard, why do you have cardboard? I make a lot of gnomes and small people that sit upright on flat bottoms, and so I keep cardboard to make those bottoms to keep them flat. I create my bottom and then I glue my round piece in, and that just makes it even more secure and more level, and so I always have cardboard on hand for that. And the last thing on the second shelf is my embroidery thread. So I have a whole bunch here that I use for faces and, you know, other things you do with embroidery thread. I have it here for that. Now we're going down to the last row. This is where I keep the majority of the things I don't use as much, but I use them enough that I need them close by. I have another bin, and these are actually a part of the cart, but they kept getting hit and knocked over between my dogs and my kids, and I attach them to this little bowl, and then when they're on the shelf, they're on the inside of the cart out of the way because I rarely use the things that are in here. This basket, these are all my safety eyes. These aren't all my safety eyes. These are some of my safety eyes. The safety eyes, for some reason, are everywhere. I have my felt eyes hanging up. I have another drawer with more felt eyes and more of the plastic safety eyes. And I think there's some more in another place. I don't know. I like to buy safety eyes. You really can't have enough because you just don't know what size you're gonna need. You might as well have them all. Am I right? I'm right. I have some 30 millimeter, 12 millimeter, more 12 millimeter, because I accidentally bought 2 25 millimeter. I don't know what millimeter the rest are. I usually just try them in whatever I'm making, and if they look nice, that's what I go with. I rarely know what size I'm putting in anything. If it looks nice, I go with it. I don't think it's a bad plan. Here's some little bitty tiny ones. I don't know. They're a size. This one's a bunch of different sizes. I don't know. Just if they work. Here's some more sizes. I don't know. And another one. Beats me. Along with that, I have another container of stitch markers, and these are the locking stitch markers. And in these little containers, I rarely use, this is just kind of a catch-all. These are more pins. I don't even know what this is. I don't know where it came from. It looks like tweezers. Just really thin tweezers for little bitty things to pick up. It's in another language. I don't know. It could be helpful. For what, I don't know, but it could be. This is one button, just one. I also have a pom-pom maker. I have a whole set. Why this one is just in here by itself, I'm not sure, but I have this just in case. Also in the Crochet Society Advent box last year, it came with some cute little, these are like those little putt-putt golf pencils that you sometimes get if you go play putt-putt. They're like this, and it came with a little notebook to take notes if you're organized and do that. I'm not always really good at doing that, but I have them to show that I might do that at some point. I also have my crayons, and this is what I use to add color to cheeks and things. I don't always like to crochet the cheeks on like some toys have, and I have found that using crayons is a really great way to get the color on there instead of using makeup, because I can never get the right shade of makeup, and there's a ton of colors of crayons that I can use, so I use these instead. These are keychains. I was wanting to work up some patterns for some little keychains, so I have some in here for me to practice with. Now, let's see what else is on the bottom shelf. This is one of my favorite things. I hate the case. I will say that I do not like this case. It's just, it's just cumbersome, and it's not, I don't like it. Why doesn't it like snap or Velcro? It's just limp. Just hangs there. I don't like that. But inside are my Clover, I think these are Clover. These are my Tunisian hooks that I got. They might be knit picks. I don't know. It's a Clover container. Maybe it's Clover hooks. Yeah, this is where organization helps. Remembering these things. But I love these things. I love to do Tunisian crochet. When I need a crojo break from my regular amigurumi, from doing things that are really detailed and intensive, I love to do Tunisian because it's really kind of monotonous, but I feel smart when I do it, because it's like a combination of crochet and knitting, and I feel powerful with that knowledge. I look fancy because I've got a cord. I've got this little hook, and it's filled with stitches, and I'm putting them on and I'm taking them off. If you haven't tried Tunisian, you should try it and see if you feel powerful too, because then you know more than one thing, and it's wonderful. This is a sweet gift for my husband for my birthday one year. He got me this pretty leather case, and in it, he had gotten me a bunch of furls. These aren't all ones that he got me. He actually got me the streamline ones that came in a set, and are they up there? They're up there on my shelf, but he got me those, and then I got me these. I have several. These aren't all. I know of 4 or 5 others floating around here somewhere. I don't know. Is it a collection? Is it a hoard? It's a need. Furls are my favorites. I do like my wheat crochet hooks. They're great, but furls are my very favorite, especially for amigurumi. The head and neck, they're just my favorite. When I bought the wheat crochet hooks, I might have also bought a bag to put them in. And in here, cute little bag. It's got zipper pockets over here. And then I have some of my hooks in here. Some of them are scattered throughout in various places for convenience, or because I forgot where I put them. And then on this side, I sometimes crochet flowers with thread, and with those, I need my really fine hooks, and these are those. They're little bitty. Several of them have little caps on them because the necks are so fragile, the heads are fragile, and they're so cute. They're little babies. We're almost done. We're to the last couple of things. Now this is another bag. This is my knitting bag where I keep my only circular knitting needle that I don't know what size it is because it's nowhere on it. And I bought it when I wanted to try to knit. I do what I call practice knitting. I knit something and then I tear it all apart because I made a mistake, and I get frustrated trying to fix that mistake, and I'm a perfectionist, so there's nothing in my bag because I tore it out. But I keep it here for when I want to practice and frog things repeatedly. I try and I enjoy trying, but I'm terrible at it. These are my pipe cleaners in this tray. I use these for multiple things, but mostly this is what I use to build my necks up in my crochet pieces. So I will take a couple, sometimes I use 3 or 4, depending on how big the head is and the body is, and I will twist them together to kind of keep from getting floppy head syndrome. And then I will put the arms out like this. So if it's an amigurumi that needs arms that are bendable, I will do that. And if it needs to go further down the body, I just twist some more on there to stick it down further inside the piece to give it some more stability. But pipe cleaners are my best friends. I use these a lot in a ton of my pieces. Then when I first started trying to do Tunisian, before I understood the purpose of cables, I bought these on Amazon. It is hard to work with something this long because you hit yourself in the stomach. I like them. The hooks themselves I like. It's the length I don't like. That's why I like my Tunisian hooks with cords. That's everything on the cart. But to complete the ensemble, beside my cart, you can't have a crochet cart without yarn. So beside my cart, I always have at least 1 to 4 bags. Yeah, I might have a problem. Usually it's 3 max bags. Each bag is a different project. I like to try to make my projects or my bags look like they're not really what they are. I try to fancy them up. I fancied this bag up by making it a Consuela bag that I really thought I needed, and I did. I love this Consuela bag. It is completely embroidered here on the front, and it makes it look like it's a really important bag, and it is of yarn. It holds yarn, but it's plastic on the inside, and that's why I like it for my yarn. It doesn't stick in here, and so I carry the yarn for whatever I'm working on in here. And then I have this is one of those bags that you get your sheets in when you buy new sheets, and I keep my stuffing in here, and this is how I take it from up here in my craft room where I keep the majority of it, and I fill this up with my stuffing, and I take it downstairs where I'm actually crocheting, and I keep it close to me, and then I can just keep refilling it. And this is extremely durable. I'm recycling. I think that's amazing. I hope you enjoyed the tour of my crochet cart, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye!